All right, everybody, welcome to MogTalk episode 176. Today we will be discussing the live letter in detail. If you haven't seen MogTalk before, it's a show based around the Final Fantasy XIV community discussing everything from Savage Raiding to Chocobo Racing. And of course, before we get too much into it, I want you guys to know everybody that's on the screen and talking. We're going to start with Leaning Larry here. Larry, can you tell everybody who you are?
Hello, I'm Larry. I make dumb videos, and currently I'm watching my Twitter because people are gonna make me turn into a Lalafell for a month, and I hope that doesn't happen.
Please retweet him.
Yeah,
I know
make it
those
happen.
feels.
You'll at least be able to explore the houses in the dwarf area, right?
Yeah, one.
Yeah.
Now I'm hoping for it. You're right. I forgot about that.
Yep. And for the first time on the show, so a good friend, at least in the times that I've met you, I would consider you friendly and a person I would want to spend time with. Yeah.
Wait, you're talking about me, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay. All right.
Avalon, tell everybody who you are.
Hi, I'm AvalonStar. I also go by Brian. You can go call me either. I am an MMO streamer only because Destiny 2, which was my other game besides FF14, now classifies themselves as an MMO. So I stream MMOs. I also make UI videos about FF14 on YouTube.
Okay. All right. And then, of course, our last guest, just so you guys, we can round it off here. And I'm sorry I showed you dying. It was just the best one I could find.
My fault.
I know. Jess, tell everybody who you are.
Hi, I'm Jess. On Twitch, I go by FamouslyJess, same as social media, and I stream Final Fantasy and will host the Gamescom Final Fantasy 14 booth again this year. So
that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Are you excited for it?
Yeah, but also nervous.
Okay, I understand those feelings. Guys, so again, we're going to be discussing the live letter. We're just kind of reviewing some of the information. Of course, we're not going to hit every single question. There's 70 of them, I think. There's questions about should we eat the sandwiches that were given to us by a certain character, in the game, and we might not review those. We're gonna
Ardbert made those sandwiches.
Did Ardbert? No, he didn't make those sandwiches.
I think he did.
Okay.
Best boy.
Mm-hmm.
A second best boy.
Oh, all right. We might discuss that a little bit later. We'll see. But there are a couple things that came out, especially some PvE information, some PvP information too. So we're gonna be talking about PvP on the show for the first time in a while. Yeah. And just kind of whatever else interests us from that live letter. So before we get too much into conversation, I do want to ask you guys personally. I don't know if you watched it live. I wasn't able to watch it live. I just kind of went back and read the questions. How do you feel this first live letter after Shadowbringers went? Is it pretty much kind of what you were looking for and questions and answers to what the community might have had?
Did they do this 2 years ago with like the first live letter after Stormblood launch was a Q&A one? Because this seemed like kind of out of the blue for me, but I have a bad memory, so.
I can't remember if it was a Q&A or not, to be honest with you.
I liked it.
Yeah?
I think... I could be wrong too. I'm pretty sure they did have a Q&A, but also some other info in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think they, at around this time, I think we were hearing about the Ultimate last time. But maybe that's only because it was new.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So I don't know. I kind of was expecting a celebration. I'm sure they're going to have a celebration later on because we do usually hit the anniversary around this time as well for Final Fantasy 14, I think being relaunched.
Like where they drink the expensive wine.
Yes.
Yes.
Like and so, because this has been one of the most successful expansions they've had outside of A Realm Reborn, I suppose. This has been highly rated. I'm pretty excited to see where we're going further, I guess, into this expansion because they have a lot of hype to live up to. I think a lot of people were going into these questions maybe hoping to see if the expansion will continue on the level it started out on, which I kind of have some hope for it. I mean, reading some of the questions, again, we've picked maybe a few of the questions out of it, but some of them were like, again, what about this story character? Or, these really minor things. A lot of people are invested in the story and everything else. You could tell we have a lot of new faces in the Final Fantasy XIV community, I guess, that don't care as much about raiding and everything and really care about the game, going in and exploring the world.
Yeah, that's fair to say. Yeah, we definitely have a lot more. I'm not really more so concerned about the rest of this expansion. I'm actually kind of concerned about the next expansion because
Really?
we have to live up to Shadowbringers.
I just like I don't know. It's just we have 5 major patches to go. So it's like, what I don't know. I have no idea what they're gonna pull. Like I've heard so many people talk about like what they could possibly happen. And I mean, like, I guess I remember you were saying on Twitter, Frosty, about like spoiler stuff. I'm like, there's a part, near the end in Garlemald where I was like, wait, that's happening now? Like I had a lot of that stuff, lot of those like feelings. I'm like, this is happening now? I thought this would happen in the patches.
Yeah.
So like I have no clue. And I'm almost happy about it because I'm like, okay, surprise me. You guys surprised me with this amazing expansion. I'm ready for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they'll be able to keep it up. I mean, if they keep the same writing team that has done this.
If it's the same writer, yeah, I think it'll be fine. I mean, we got 2 more patches of like official Shadowbringers, and then after, like, it's usually 0.3 is where they wrap it up.
Yep.
Right. And then after that is prepping for the next expansion, kind of. So at least 2 more.
I feel like this time, I mean, we all kind of know where the next expansion is going, like theme wise. But I feel it's already very intertwined, and a lot of that stuff has been in preparation since like heavily in preparation in Stormblood already. So to me, it felt like the Shadowbringers main story that felt very like finished in itself. Like I wouldn't know, like I have no clue where the story is gonna go now, like for our character specifically. So that's gonna be very interesting, I think.
So to actually we're going to do this a little bit out of order on the notes since we're already talking about the story and this is pretty relevant. There are a couple bits there that were interesting. One is that we're going to see a lot more Amarat and how all that stuff kind of befell it. And spoil again, watching the show, you're going to hear a term or two that might be related to the story. Hopefully that name doesn't mean anything until you see it. But it's one of those things where that was the highlight for most people in the expansion, is seeing that area and wondering and getting more questions. And so throughout the next few patches, we might be focused on that a little bit. And I'm all for it, man.
I'm so glad that he confirmed that we will be getting more information about it, because I was worried that they would they've done it before where like they'll introduce something really cool like that and they'll just leave it. And it's like, I had so many more questions. Like, how did this even happen? So I'm really glad that he actually said, yeah, we're gonna tell you more about how it happened.
Of course, if they didn't, it would be like the biggest tease they've ever done.
So I'm very glad to, at least I'm just relieved to hear it.
Yeah.
Same.
One other little side note too that I kind of noticed is going through some of them. It seems, and I don't know how you guys feel about it. I think it's great, but there are questions he's answering. It feels like they're making a pretty strong stance on like moral issues too, right? And things that people kind of have questions about things in real life. For example, the simple question, it was very small. It was like, hey, what are there female dwarfs? And he said, it doesn't matter. Well, why do you care about this? The differences, you gotta accept them as dwarfs. And I've noticed Yoshida has done this a few times in questions before to just try to make a clear stance on it. Do you feel like maybe he shouldn't be doing that, or it's the right thing to do?
I think it's the right thing to do personally. I was noticing that with the way they were talking about like the Feol questions too. Like they were using the pronoun they a lot, and like I had a lot of preconceived notions, of course. Like I play the game in Japanese with the Japanese VA, so I heard a specific voice while other people were playing in English, hearing the Scottish one. And then like then I heard, I guess a couple of weeks or about a week in, that the Fae are supposed to be non-binary. So it was like, that even in translating, even with what Bayon's doing with like translating these questions, is like they're really methodical about how they translate it. Like they don't want to come off the wrong way. They want to be able to, I guess, label them the way they want to. And I don't know. I think it's topical. I don't think it's something that should be like, it should just make sense. It's common sense. Like,
Right.
I don't know why, like the whole male female dwarves thing. It's like, yeah, I was a little bit thrown off. I'm like, oh wait, everybody has a beard, but you know, as part of their outfit or whatever. But you know,
Yeah.
gender didn't really come into play.
And that's the clarification to that is there any way to tell the difference? The question was, is there any way to tell the difference between male and female dwarfs when they are wearing helmets? And his answer was no, there isn't. There is no need to, and that's how it's intended. Of course, there are male and female dwarfs in the game, but he feels like making that distinction is not important for you as a player. So,
ever since the story that Yoshi P told about that time when he was walking home, I think, and he saw a transgender student, and the mom was like shying her daughter away from looking at the transgender student. He told that story. Ever since then, I just have like a lot of respect for him in this kind of regard. So when he says stuff like this, it's just more respect for him, because it's just, you know, respect people.
it's tough. It's tricky. I mean, when you're like in a company and you're making these calls, there are people who have strong emotions, especially throughout the entire world, towards these social issues. And so when you make these kind of statements, you're either shutting yourself off from certain audiences or, I don't know, seeming to make a stance towards something, which is rare, I think.
I think it's good that he stands by that value. I think it's good.
Yeah. All right. So now I kind of got a little bit of miscellaneous out there, and we can get in more later on. But I do want to discuss, it seems like the very front of this whole Q&A was loaded with balance questions. Yeah, with different jobs and everything else. They want to just knock it out and get it out of the way. And they started with a very strong one, which was with ninjas. Because everybody was like, oh, well, ninjas aren't important. Man, ninjas have been important for the game for 2 expansions where you couldn't have a party without them because no one would have
3.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, you're right, because they came in
Realm Reborn.
Yeah, right at the end of it.
Late, yeah.
No, they weren't they in Second Coil?
Yeah, they were at the very end. They were one of the last. They were patched in before the expansion.
During Second Coil.
Yeah. And it was pretty interesting because now no one wants it anymore. And
that's so weird.
It is. I mean, that's what happens with jobs. I mean, when you have 17 jobs, I believe we have now, right? It's a little bit difficult to fit all 8 of them to be perfect in meta or great in some way. So are you guys happy with the response that he said that they do plan to make adjustments to him? I mean, some of it was quality of life, but he does say that he is going to make adjustments towards maybe damage buffs and their support overall for the party.
I mean, in a way. Oh, go ahead, Jess.
I mean, I think my static is one of the few that still goes with a ninja right now, because I know a lot of ninjas, they just play something else now. I know our ninja is not happy. Like the DPS for like the complexity
the complexity of playing it.
Yes. For like the damage it does is too much. Like we do more or less equal DPS. I'm a dancer main. That should not happen. I give a lot more support to. Also,
you're back. Okay. Sorry, you disappeared there for a second. You're good.
Oh no, my VPN.
Okay.
So yeah, like I give a lot more support, and my job is a shit ton easier than the ninja, and we are more or less equal. So I agree something needs to change. I believe they said they want to try something like that.
Oh no.
Oh, do you want me to close the VPN quickly? Wait.
I mean, you can if you want to.
Yeah, I just need it for Final Fantasy. I'll be back in a sec.
Okay, the cameras are all gonna mess up, but it's all right. I'll fix it.
I hope I end up as Avalon.
Okay, I think I'm back. Hello?
Oh, hey, you didn't even disconnect. Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yes. Okay, right. Sorry. Yeah, don't connect to VPNs. But yeah, point being, I think the DPS needs to be increased.
Mhm.
What does worry me is that they said something about like adjusting Twig as well.
Mhm.
And I think they should leave Twig the way it is. Just give it a little bit more DPS.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What?
Nice.
Wow.
I've chat.
Holy shit.
I thought Automod would get it, but I guess it didn't.
Okay.
Anyways, that's why I
That's
got mine
Ninja.
sent there. Yeah, that's Ninja.
I mean,
Yeah.
well, I mean, I felt for like, you know, it's a lot. I guess a lot of people were like going towards like we need, you know, more DPS, we need more potency and stuff like that. But it seemed like from what they answered, it's like there's a fundamental problem with the way they reworked Ninja, and it like kind of transcends it. Like you can't fix this with this, which is why I guess like what was being said in 5.08. They're doing the potency changes just to kind of patch it up a little bit, and then the big one in 5.1, and it's like, whoops, we messed up because, you know, we submitted Ninja to the largest QA pool that we have, being the players, and none of them liked it. So it's like, I guess the same thing happened with Astro, right? It's like they thought they were in a good place with Astro. People played Astro, didn't like it. They were like, whoops, sorry, let's
Whoops.
but I guess that whole, you know, making Ninja, that the ROI, return on investment with Ninja, with your actions a little bit more like, you know, feasible. It's nice, but yeah, I wonder how far they'll go into it. Like, you know, they've obviously said, looking at Moogers, trying to change the way combos work, what combos work, just the way these things, the skills are weaved together. So like, that's very like foundational. Like, it's like, whoa, that's pretty big, which I understand, you know, it's why they're waiting until 5.1. But even the fact that it's coming in 5.1, it's like, you guys got 2 months,
Yeah.
you know, or so. So like, good luck.
I hope they don't do, like, they referenced dancers' dance steps for, like, they learned a lot there, and they were like, oh, maybe we could do that for Mudras. I hope they don't do that. I like that Mudras are different than dance steps. Like, if it just works the same way as dance steps, it'll just feel the same.
But are you not upset with how clunky it's going to feel because of how it plays out?
Well, it's definitely clunky, and I think maybe I would like it better if they just let you use GCDs between mudras, maybe, and you could just mudra in OGCDs and GCD and weave them instead of needing to do them all in the same window.
Okay.
Maybe.
I think that's what they were talking about, right? They were saying the fact that they're now stripped to GCD. They were linked to GCDs, and then there's that lag. It's like now they're running into a lot of problems, especially with now, you know, skill speed or TP not being a thing. So you can kind of go as fast as you want, but then they're kind of running into their own technical debt, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe having it like how the dances work could be okay. It just, I would want it to feel, because then it would feel just this, it would feel the same. And I think
I agree.
would make it better if it felt a little different.
You know what they could do to fix it? Add lore to make it to where you're supposed to feel clunky as playing a ninja, and just say that's just part of the ninja. That's their lore.
Modify the level 80 quest saying you're supposed to be clunky.
Yeah, it's part of the challenge of playing ninja is dealing with all the forces of nature, and it feels a little bit odd and weird and rough, and that's what a ninja is. Yeah.
No.
Oh.
I can't face my wife like that. She's been a ninja since we started playing the game. So I'm like, hey, your class is gonna stay clunky because it's a lore reason now. Right in the face.
One of the questions that I didn't actually put on this list, but relates a little bit, is when they were discussing the bosses and what they would be, and it'd be part of our imagination and everything. And that was in regards to Leviathan and Titan. Right? They're trying to like respond to that, and they're like, why is it so different? It's like, well, it's been a while, you know, there were some rocks involved, and I thought that was perfect. So there was some lore in there to explain.
I don't know, we met Noctis, and then we thought of, you know, we have a car now, so then all of a sudden when thinking of Titan for some weird reason, he's doing a Hot Wheel. I'm like, okay, we had no idea cars existed before Noctis was a thing, so thanks FF15. I don't know. It was really weird because I have this condition called aphantasia. So like I have a blind mind's eye. Like you asked me to like envision an apple, I can't. Like I can't do it like most normal people can. Okay. So when Urianger was like, think of your fight with Leviathan. I'm like, I can't. I'm blind. Like, and then he comes up. I'm like, that's not what I would have thought of.
Nice.
So yeah, it was kind of hilarious that we were trying to pass it off. Yeah.
Well, it's also pretty interesting because it reminds me, of course, of the whole lore and story of the Asians and the Amarat area where you're imagining things up and you're making them, and it a little bit rings too many bells there for me.
Creation magic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But we won't get that far into it.
Yeah.
That's not part of it. But
So
go ahead.
With Ninja, I also wanted to just say about Trick Attack. I remember when the expansion first started and I saw that Trick Attack was still in the game and it was still 10%. I was like, what is this? Why is there still 10% Trick Attack? And I thought Ninja would be so strong. And it's not, because its personal is so crap. It's so bad.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the discussions that we've actually talked about this a lot. And I remember I had Arthas on the show a little bit ago, and he was going off about how Dancer would be broken because, I mean, there's a legitimate reason to why you have to worry about support jobs, because you have to do this balance. Like, oh, well, if all of their worth is within their support, then when you have a shitty party, you're not worth anything because you're not amplifying anything.
Should have just went monk.
Right. And so, and they're trying to balance this to where the job can still feel good, even if your party is not that good. But if you have a great party, then they're way too powerful. They're absolutely insane. And so it's a tricky situation. And I'm sure that's what they're battling with right now.
It is hard. I think Ninja's personal DPS should be like in the middle, is like what I would imagine, and then with its utility it gets up to a little like the top quarter. But I think it's also really important that the jobs that are really difficult are rewarded with more damage.
That's my biggest thing. It's like you shouldn't be working that hard for nothing, and it's either you make it easier or bring the damage up to make sure that they're feeling like they're getting a return on investment. But
and so you're balancing around player skill too. So how good are people at the game? So it's crazy. But we'll see what they do. I think they did, at least they seem like to be going in the right direction, but we won't know until we actually see the changes, because I mean, you just have to do a little bit, and then it either completely breaks it or makes it really good or really bad, right?
I mean, at least they are willing to change something, right? They could be like, oh no, it's fine, we're not touching it. So at least they notice.
I think it's a good way for them to kind of take a look at the job as a whole again and see, like, you know, did we do the right thing? What do we need to change? Rather than it being like, oh, just bump this up there and bump this up there, like, you know.
Yeah, here's some potency changes here and there and stuff.
Yeah,
going in.
Oh, it's good. You know,
Buff to Gus Slash. Sorry.
You know, it's good. So, and again, I have just one more iteration on kind of what you were saying, Avalon, because I saw it a little bit in chat. I do think that player skill should go into DPS overall with how hard it is to play a job, but it should be something like not a little bit past your RNG and crits and everything, where you'll notice, oh, this person's going to always do 100 more DPS if they're optimized with this job, or I guess we're in like 10,000 or something now DPS, right? Maybe it should be like 500 more DPS.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think there's like everything in moderation, right? I don't want it to be like strictly based off of complexity equals better damage, because then
it can't be linear like that.
No, it can't be.
Yeah. But what feels bad is I'm working really hard right now, and you know, this, like, I don't want to say another job, but this other job that is easier is doing 2,000 more DPS than me, and it's like I just worked really hard to do 2K DPS.
Yep.
It feels bad. Like at least if it's more even, it's just it's too far behind, and they agree with that. It's too far behind. So.
Yeah. All right, and so this kind of leads us into the other side of the spectrum here with black mages and samurais, because there was a question about samurai being a pure DPS, right? And so they're trying to make that a thing where jobs are based on their identity as being pure DPS, and they're really powerful, and they depend on party buffs to be even more powerful, and so you want them in the party. Are you guys kind of, because they pretty much just declared, hey, this is how we designed a game. Are
Protect the president job.
Yeah. Are you happy with that setup?
I like it. Because now it's like you know, you could bring a not so much samurai right now, but a black mage, and you could do protect the president and make the black mage the dance partner, give the tether to the black mage, you know, all this stuff for the black mage. I like that.
I think it's great that they clearly define that, because like I guess, you know, being one of the more casual players in the room, it's like you would hear people up top going, you know, utility, 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 and people like, oh no, Sam sucks because all it does is damage and doesn't need to do any utility. But like the fact that they're like, hey, they're giving jobs identities here, they're kind of solidifying their identities a bit. And I mean, I like that. Even it will protect the president or otherwise. It's just like, you know, you can try different things to kind of throw all your damage and have this like glass cannon of sorts, just kind of throw all, you know, be your main source of damage. I don't know how the calculations work out and stuff like that, but I do like the, you know, from a like identity standpoint, that they're like, you know, black mage is that for caster DPS and samurai is like that for.
But it's not.
But it's not. It's like identity and execution are two completely different things. They want it to be that, and they have to work towards actually achieving that.
Right.
But I think it's like, it's a bit like, in my opinion, more complicated than that, because for like good groups, like who actually know what they are doing, where the healers are not like trashed here and actually know how to mitigate, that will work. But if you have like a group that's not so good, like, you know, like the more casual type groups, will they even be able to clear if they have like one or two classes with them who don't bring anything but DPS to the table, but based on them being casual, they will not do the DPS the class could do. So wouldn't they be better off playing something that actually brings more than just like button smashing?
Oh,
I kind of think they need to learn that, though. I remember going
through like but they don't.
No, I know they don't, and then that's the lockout, though. And those are the people that then go and complain about the fact that my class is too weak. Then it's like, yeah, you gotta work a little bit harder at it.
That's true. That's fair.
I think there's a balance there.
Yeah, and we have to make sure Square Enix is not succumbing to the tons of new players coming in and just not being able to perform well, because that's what we have right now. We have a ton of new players in the game, and they have to learn the game. They have to learn how to be good.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and I'm glad that they brought up Samurai, because I was worried they wouldn't again. They always have this way of just like leaving Samurai alone and not giving it what it really needs. But it's bad that it's less personal damage, less than Monk. That's not right, because Monk brings utility. So at least its personal damage should be higher than Monk. So as long as that happens, then I'm cool with whatever they do.
And there were a couple people, I didn't say this at the beginning of the show, but we are doing a giveaway of these 4 guys later on. They're little bean bags of a Moogle Chocobo, Namazu, and what do you call him? Is it Sprout?
Mandragora.
There we go. There are a Sprout. Either way, new player. And so that'll be later on in the show if you guys are interested in that. And I'll just kind of leave it back here so you can see it in the back.
Yeah.
The lead into kind of the next point of this, we were talking about complexity and jobs and everything. Some players, there, at least the person who submitted this question, that said that summoners might be a little bit difficult to play. Would you guys? It is?
Yes.
Okay.
Summoner is the most clunkiest bullcrap that it's ever been ever.
Okay.
Terrible.
Explain to me why.
First of all, I love Summoner aesthetically. It's the best job, but aesthetically. But this version of Summoner is the worst thing ever. And they didn't even say how to fix it. Nothing here fixes it. They're talking about dot duration. That's like the least of the problems.
What are the main problems with Summoner then?
They did talk about the Eggy Assault thing, which is true. Okay. So Eggy Assault, imagine you have these buttons that it's a 30-second cooldown, 2 charges, so there's 4 of them a minute, and you have to do them because it gives you the Ruin 4. And you have to care so much and watch these things and make sure you're getting them on time and not losing any usages, and it's just a 70 potency attack. Like it's like 100 potency, but it's pet damage, so it's scaled down. So it's like 70 potency, and you're carrying and mashing this button so much throughout the whole fight for nothing. It's the weakest thing ever. So it doesn't feel very good.
Okay.
Then the dot thing I can kind of understand that they're talking about, because the dot duration does get a little wonky. Like maybe like you have to drop them off like a 2 or 3 seconds before you can reapply them sometimes. And so that feels bad because Ruin gets buffed by dots. So sometimes you have to use an unbuffed Ruin, and that feels bad. They did fix in the very beginning of the rotation where you would start with a Ruin 3, put your dots on with Try Disaster, and you would have to like wait half a second before doing anything for you to Ruin 2, which felt really bad. But so I think they fixed that, but it's still bad that you have to Ruin 2 after the Try Disaster. So that's bad. And then the clunkiness with Bahamut and Phoenix, they didn't even talk about. Like,
I think that's an error with the question.
Yeah,
the
I think it's
so I would think that they, I don't know. I have a little bit. I'm a bit more idealistic, I guess. It's just
okay.
I think the fact that they did say, hey, we're working on adjusting the difficulty of needing to press so many buttons, but then it's like, but you're asking this question, so I don't know.
Think they know.
You don't think they know?
Okay. That's fair.
To Yoshida, who's watching it. To Yoshida, who's watching right now. He knows. He just heard you, Larry. So.
Okay, Yoshi, I love you. Thank you for giving Summoner Phoenix, but it's bad. You have to triple weave when you summon Phoenix. It's the.
Well, I mean, like, so
you have to wait. You can't just use a Ruin 2. You have to wait, because when you summon him, he's sleepy. So if you tell him to do something too quick, he'll forget to do the worm wave.
So maybe that's part of it, right? And maybe Summoner just needs potency buffs and just keep it the same system. It's just difficult to play, right? And that's just part of it. You do more damage.
But it's difficult from being clunky.
Add it to lore.
Bahamut doesn't want to listen to you because he's Bahamut. So
right. He's Bahamut now. He and like doesn't want your shit. So
yeah, like with Bahamut, like you could get 8 worm waves, and you want to get 8 worm waves because it's like 150. I forget how much, but it's big to miss one. So you have to do this weird shit with the server to make sure that he does it, because if you summon him and Ruin 2, you would think that he would worm wave, but he doesn't. You told him to do it too soon. And then with Phoenix, you have to triple weave because it's the same problem. If you do it too quick, Phoenix won't use the Scarlet Flame. So it's dealing with that. Then it's when you have them out, you're locking yourself out of the Eggy Assaults. And again, you have to care about these Eggy Assaults, even though they're just 70 potency. Mm-hmm. So you have to make sure you're not locking yourself out when you're using them to use your big summons. And it's very clunky.
Okay.
It needs a rework. Not like machinist level rework, but
right.
It needs a rework.
Well, it's one of the 3 that they are putting a high priority for changes. So we'll see in 5.1 what it's going to look like.
I hope so.
I'll ask you again, Larry. I'll ask you again there.
I'm not even playing it in raid right now. I'm a samurai right now.
Why? Which is just kind of curious, right? You're playing another job that people are complaining about. So
I like samurai.
Okay.
Well, samurai is they talked about the Shoha buff, and I mean the Shoha attack, because you don't really get to use it too much. So I'm glad that they're going to do that, because Shoha looks really cool. The only other thing I would say for samurai is just it needs to do a little more damage than monk.
Okay.
Yep.
It should.
Fair.
Samurai should. Well, I mean, monk's one of the explosion jobs too, but they do have some group stuff.
It has brotherhood.
Yeah. So I get that.
Yeah.
One of the ones we didn't mention yet was Bard. And the thing that I kind of picked up from the question and the answer and everything is that they don't consider Bard really the support job, because Dancer's that support job, right? And so Bard is supposed to maybe do a little bit more damage. I don't know. Again, I probably should have asked you guys before too on where you stand with Bard.
I used to main Bard and now main Dancer.
Mm-hmm.
So Like if you check the RDPS of both classes, they are fairly similar. Bard just does a lot more personal DPS. Do I feel like it's fine right now? I don't know. I feel like it should do a little bit more. I was considering leveling my Bard to beat Titan Savage because we don't necessarily have a big DPS comp. We have a Wet Mage, we have a Ninja, and we have a Dancer, so we're kind of screwed.
Okay.
But I did check numbers, and the difference isn't that big for what Dancer brings to the table and what Bard brings to the table. I think they should like lift it just a little bit, like not a lot. It's kind of the same as Ninja. Like we don't want like 2k more DPS, just like a little bit, you know, to like make it worth playing that over a Dancer.
Okay.
That's the other thing with Summoner, its damage is so low.
Tell us how you really feel, Larry.
I'm working so hard on Summoner and I'm only doing a little bit more than the Red Mage.
Yeah, I get you.
And then Bard. Bard is like the same as Summoner damage. They should both be a little higher.
Okay.
They're too close to Red Mage and Dancer.
So you'd be happy with just little potency changes to their abilities. Except for Summoner, of course. Summoner needs like...
Well, Summoner, I would play it if it just did a little more damage. I would.
You deal with the clunkiness?
Summoner has been clunky since the beginning of time. I'll deal with the clunkiness.
So you're used to the abuse, so you're okay with it.
I'm used to it, yeah.
I mean, I think the other thing is like as soon as you give Ninja and Bard potency buffs, Dancers will complain because they will be so far like behind everyone else in DPS. Right now, you at least have like one other class that's kind of like at the low end with you. But if you buff those classes, let's say on average they do 1k more DPS in a fight, that's gonna be shit because the way it is right now with Dancers, I mean, like your potential is not only your potential, it's your group's potential. So if you have a group that doesn't do buff alignment, for example, you're gonna be shit even though you might press the right buttons. But you can't influence 7 other players how they press the buttons. So
Then you go machinist.
like there's a few things I would have like changed about Dancer, and they don't do any of those. So I'm a bit sad. But people will start complaining as soon as Ninja also goes up.
Dancer's just cosmetic to the game. It doesn't matter.
We just added that, Jeff.
Yeah, we just threw it in there because it looks nice.
Larry, good thing. Not Larry. Forsty, good thing you're in an A and I'm not.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You're safe.
Like Blue Mage. Just put it in there.
I'll remember for the next fan fest.
Oh, if they ever send me to EU again, they probably won't send me to EU again. I'm not worried about that. We'll see. All right. So the other part, we did have another question here about Astro. There's a few job questions. This one is something that people have been complaining about a lot, right? This has been a big topic. It's the cards. The cards, they don't do much. They're not... Astros before expansion, lots of crazy things, even though they only cared about one card. They would maybe make use of the other cards. Now, it's as dull as it could probably get with cards. And they said they're not planning to change that. They want to keep her on the same.
Necessarily dull though. Like Eva, she mains Astro, and she actually said she feels like the new cards she's busier. Like it's busy work, I guess. Like some of the decision making isn't there anymore, but I mean, it's kind of like even with the old cards, you only cared about getting the DPS cards anyway.
Yeah,
So,
no, that's true.
Like, I think the card system is fine. I like that it's busier because you're cycling through more of them, I'm pretty sure, than before. So
yeah, but it doesn't, you don't have that decision making really there. You lose a lot of that mental, hey, I need to make a decision. What is my decision right now?
True.
And
I think they kind of screwed themselves either way with like, you know, like if you're making the cards easy, you're going to take away some of the complexity that people like, and you're taking away some of the identity of what made an Astro, right? So like, you know, and just watching people play Astro, it's like, oh, the cards don't matter anymore, but I really liked cards. But it's like, you know, you can't have both. You know, this is not a cake and eat it too kind of thing. It's like, you can't have both. It's like, if they make it simple, then if they make the cards different, then you're then you're undoing the work that they did for this.
Mhm.
Like, which one do you? Yeah, it's like the only thing I can really think of is like the people who really still like Caster Bard from Heaven's Ward. It's like, you know, it was completely different, but there are people who liked it, and then they changed it because people hated what Bard became after ARR, and then they changed it again, and people missed that. You're always gonna have people that are just, I like this class in this point, and it's just gonna keep getting worse with more expansions and more jobs and stuff. It's just
Mhm.
like the majority of these conversations that I've been seeing, it's just the fact that, like, my God, like, forget the story. Just that freaking balance team, the sandbox team just has, like, their job is just gonna keep getting harder and harder and harder.
Yeah.
Because, like, you're just gonna get more jobs. You're gonna have people that had like such an identity with their jobs because it's a personal thing.
Mhm.
It's a personal thing. It's not a, you know, people really hate, like, it hurts Larry a lot being on Samurai when he wants to be on Summoner.
My soul is dying.
Exactly.
But now I've studied
at
the
him.
blade and I kind of like it.
I mean, look at it. So
I don't know. I
don't know. I'm seeing this as my. I feel like I try to look at this from a more macro point of view, because I think a lot of people kind of look at it in a very micro view, where it's like only numbers matter, but they don't. You know, it's not. You know, when you're trying to clear content, sure,
Mhm.
but like from a top down standpoint, it's like it's going to get harder to identify these jobs, and it's going to get, you know, people are going to have to get used to the fact that they're going to be more kind of the same thing
Mhm.
going forward.
Well, so I personally, again, I completely understand your point too, Avalon. But from my standpoint, I would wish they would have went somewhere in the middle.
Hmm.
And instead of having 6 different cards, have 3.
That's fair. I mean, that's another way.
So-
That's another way to solve the problem, right?
Yeah,
But,
I mean,
yeah.
just give a little bit of decision instead of, are you a ranged job or are you a melee job? It would be nice to know if, hey, I increase your damage, I reduce damage, or I give you resources. Just those 3 cards, and then you're fine. I give you more mana, or I give you, yeah, I think it's all mana now, right? We're all focused on mana for anyone, but
I
then
mean, do most classes even use their mana right now?
There's only,
Apart
like,
from like
5.
casters and
True.
healers?
Just healer. Oh wait, no, Dark Knight does. Yeah, Dark Knight,
Still do
Dark
it.
Knight and Paladin. But theirs is weird. It's kind of more just like a fixed thing.
Yep.
Hmm.
But yeah, like
But I mean, you can't.
healers and summoner red mage.
yeah,
most.
so I guess it wouldn't be good to do mana anymore. That's really out the door completely.
Yeah.
It'd be probably more in line with maybe speed or something and attacks. So
Yeah.
speed and attacks, damage, or damage reduction. If you had 3, at least you had some sort of room to work with how to make that decision. But
Oh, I
But
miss.
people are
Arrow.
still going to like optimize to that, right? You're still going to get the situation where people are going to optimize and be like, oh, we only want the skill speed card,
okay,
right? Yes, I just, like, I don't disagree with you.
right.
It's just that I'm, you know, trying to see it from, like, oh, they wanted to make the counterpoint that all the other cards are useless. We can't get rid of them because of what was said in the chat. Like, lore reasons, they'd have to redo the quests introducing these cards. And, you know, yeah, it's really spaghetti.
I think.
I think something
they-
like damage reduced card would be interesting though, like kind of like Bowl was, right? Bowl gave you a defense buff. Because then you still decide, okay, let's say you have 2 cards, 1 DPS, 1 defense card. What do you do in that specific moment with the card? You know, there's a tank buster incoming. Is the card enough to like keep another cooldown safe for now? Do you struggle with DPS, so you just want that instead? Like, I didn't play the new Astra yet. I'm not a huge fan of the class. Wasn't before. Probably I'm not now as well. But just from what I hear, it sounds boring. Like, maybe you're more busy with like distributing the cards, but the effects just sound boring. Like, they all do the same thing.
Man, I always thought it would be interesting if they just added an ability called Cheat Fate or something, and you could choose a card in a certain moment, and it just reduces you go through your whole card rotation. So you said, I want balance at this point, I want defense at this point, and then you could use those throughout the entire instance, and then the little bit of RNG on the side with the cards and what you're drawing isn't going to make as much of a difference. I feel like that would be
I think a big part of this that causes like why this is such an argument with a lot of people is that if the cards were useful or useless to you, it depended on if you were like really high level raider or just casual or mid-core or whatever. If you were really high level raider, you never ever use the defensive cards. You only use the attack cards anyway.
That's true.
If you were more casual, like just in a regular group and you were just raiding casually, then you could find uses for bowl and ewer and I'm not ewer. Yeah.
Ewers one.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, I guess mana. So
Mana,
Yeah.
you would find uses for those because you weren't being optimal. So that's why when we argue about these things, it's like for the hardcore raiders, they never use those cards anyway. So
it's a funny conundrum you kind of deal with because deciding where cards could go and where they're optimal in a fight is a very high level thing. But when you're high level, you only care about one thing, and so like casual players aren't able to take. It's kind of weird, right?
I know what you mean. Yeah. So I feel like that because it was ambiguous like that, and because this was happening, that's why they switched over to this. And the trade-off was, even though they all do damage, now it's busy work. Now you're actually flipping through cards faster, like you're drawing one, changing it to Lord or Lady, using it on somebody, drawing one, changing it, using it. And then if you need the seals, then you use the regular card to get the seal. And I think it could be even more interesting if you could just use divination even more often, like make it like a minute cooldown instead. And that way you need to care about which seals you have. So there is decision making then to making sure you get the 3 seals in time for the 1 minute cooldown divination. Just lower its effect a little bit, but because it's more often, then you have more decision making and busy work there.
Yeah, and I love that about any job in the game is reacting and making a decision in the moment, because that separates the good and bad players. Being able to do
I
that.
think it could have that if divination was shorter.
Yeah. Stupid hair keeps coming down. What'd I do? What'd I do, man?
It's
stylish, man.
Yeah, I guess. I don't
Just gotta
know.
let it go.
I mean, it's just that one strand that's
Yeah.
like kind of
Yeah, man.
separated. Just put it down.
Yeah.
Avalon's camera.
My fault again.
Every time you see it, you're just like,
It's just fine.
yeah, you just like get zoned in. You're like, holy crap, how can a camera look so good? So
That is true. The minute buffs are kind of messy to deal with, because then you're tying into lining it up with Trick and all the other 60-second ones. So I don't know, maybe not a minute, but just overall just a little shorter, because at the moment you're kind of not caring about your seals. You get them and then you don't care.
Right.
Like you're not needing to rush to get them as much.
Just turn Astro into a time mage. Just like decrease the cards and increase the whole like thing around, speeding up things.
It kind of did feel like that at some
Right?
point. They took away some of that,
the
time mage stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it
Yeah,
had
it's like they kind of took away two
that
things
extended-
instead of.
Well, they're prepping for the next job, so we're gonna
I
have
guess
time
so.
mage and we're gonna have geomancer. So
Yeah, I guess so.
or that's what Mary would say if he was here. So they did talk a little bit, and if we're going into buffs a little bit, about tanks, and this is a little bit of flip side because this is a damage buff, or defensive buffs. Overall, they want to increase kind of duration on some of those, which I can kind of see it. There are some parts where I'm doing these earlier fights. I'm still pretty early in the fights, where I want to hit my rampart and have it go into 2 things that require a damage reduction, and I can barely make it.
Rampart.
A little bit, like maybe 2 seconds. If I had like 2 seconds.
It's what?
There's
a longer rampart.
I want a little bit longer of a rampart, because there's a moment, and this is the only reason why, in like E1S, where I think they have a tank buster, and then they follow it with something else, and I can't really remember because I just haven't done it. After clearing it, you don't really do it as much. But there's a part where you can hit rampart, and it will cover 2 of those, but you have to do it right at the end of the first cast for tank buster, and it's just like you're
Do that.
I try, and I'm like, I hope this registers right.
No, you're not no longer ramp. It's 20 seconds, Frost.
22. 22's all I'm asking, man. What's the difference? All
Not
right.
an even number, man. Also, I think,
Good.
was it the question about sad warriors though?
Well, it was the
Aren't
question
the
about
warriors sad?
tanks. I don't think it was
7?
about warriors here, or at least the one I was looking at. Was there one
question
about
7?
question? Yeah, no, that was question 7. Did I mess
Yeah.
up?
No
Oh.
tank related adjustments. I think the balance is there,
Oh.
but I'm still sad.
Yeah, balance is there.
Which
I'd
is
like
the
to see more.
Which is the 14 community in general. This is great, but I still hate it.
It's pretty accurate.
It's the best it's ever been.
All the jobs are balanced, but I'd
Sucks.
like it if the job I played did more damage.
Yeah, a lot of sad blue DPSs out there that
I
are no
think-
longer blue
I think the
DPSs.
tanks are in good shape. I
They
think
are.
You guys are in good shape.
I'm fine. I'm fine with it. I mean, I main Dark Knight and leveling up my gunbreaker, but like it's just warriors really you just took a lot of their testosterone out, and now they're kind of not really
bold
much
statement.
of anything. And I'm like, I've always been here sitting as a Dark Knight, and you gave us shit a couple of expansions ago. Look how the tables have turned, warriors.
Can I ask you something? If you level Gunbreaker right now, do you feel like it even feels like a tank? Because I absolutely hate tanking, but I like Gunbreaker, and it feels like
It's a
DPS.
lot. It's a lot more. It's different, like from a fundamental level.
Its rotation feels like a
rotation feels like it feels like a DPS rotation.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, I like that they kind of took that with
Mhm.
it. And
Well,
then-
The main reason I was going into buffs is because what he said at the end of that, and in his answer, he says, we'll continue making adjustments to 5.1, such as increasing duration of defensive buffs.
He said that?
He said that.
yeah, he did. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
maybe
did.
make
But maybe
your
the
block a
group
second.
ones. I thought he was talking about the group ones.
Of course, he's talking about like anything besides the Rampart. I know
Not
for
Rampart.
sure.
Rampart's not getting 2 more seconds, man.
It'd be nice, man, because I think they actually meant that for you to hit one and try to time it between 2 different abilities, or at least that's what I was dissecting while tanking and exploring all these fights so far.
Yeah, and you said you can. You just got to time it right. That's where the player skill
Really,
comes in.
really
Your
tight
timing's
check.
off, man.
We're talking
This
about
is what we talked about with like casuals and good groups, you know?
well,
Time
we're
it
talking
better,
server
forehand.
timer. When we start hitting server timer differences, it's not like it's a little
That's
bit different.
skill.
Okay. I
That's
don't want a
skill.
metronome. All
Forehand.
right. Yeah, I think it would be interesting to see. I didn't really think with like shield. Why am I blanking? Shield block, whatever. I'm a paladin mage who can't
Shield
say what
block.
the ability is.
No, shit block. I know that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, if we're playing WoW, right? Sheltron. When you have a Sheltron up,
They make Sheltron amazing.
it is good. It's good where it doesn't need to be longer. It could be 1 second or 6 seconds. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. It just as
Oh,
long
now
as
he
it's,
doesn't care.
It's
Well-
the best. It's the best Sheltron's
he
ever
just-
been. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
God.
it's way too strong. You're right. And so when we're doing a fight, if I see the cast bar for the tank buster, I just press it and I don't have to think about it. Right? I mean,
Does it still cost 50 gauge? Is that what it is now?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, still
Yeah.
50 gauge, but it's not stupid.
so so if you use it right now, and this is kind of something I've been just doing, is trying to cast this stuff at the last second. Because if you cast it at the last second, you can get it to roll over into the auto attacks and everything afterwards. But is it kind of, Brian, is it kind of weird to you that they even mentioned that? Like, have you noticed anything while tanking where you're like, oh, I wish these buffs were a little...
No, I don't find. I just modified my timing.
Okay.
That's really what it was for me. So I never thought like that they should increase the duration of it, but I don't know. I guess they're.
Like 2 is really good too.
I mean, the whole thing though, that's really because we were, you go into Innocence, right? And then the phase change there is like the big attack there. It's like when I was told when it registers damage, it was different then. And then we went to like, we went back to A12S, and then I was like casting all my stuff too early. I was TBNing too early. I had to TBN right when the lasers came out. So I'm like, I'd just love to know when damage registers, just generally, because if you base it off, or just be consistent about it, because if you base it off of the animation, I can be completely off, and I've been completely off before, and then I just have to remember that. But yeah, I know tanks adjust, right? I tank first world problems, man. My job is so freaking hard. I just get hit all day.
Yeah. Well, no, it's actually kind of fun doing ES2 or E2S with tank, because it's so much about positioning the boss and getting into like certain spots with the mechanics.
Yeah.
And I feel like they really kind of emphasized that pretty well. So
So
at
the
least so
boss
far.
doesn't freaking move and make me lose my uptime because it's off of the meteor now, and I have to go to that meteor and not hit the boss because the boss moved.
Yeah, and then you have ads coming behind you, and you need to just make
Yeah.
sure while you're positioning the boss, you kind of position between the ads. Great.
Yeah, but you got to know, like, some things are like the damage is calculated at the end of the cast, and then some things are calculated at the animation, and
The animation.
you're like, oh, you're one of those AoEs. Okay.
Glad I'm not a tank or healer, man.
Yeah, just got to get good when you're playing tanks and understand mechanics that you can't see. Register in your head.
Yeah, I much rather prefer these thoughts though than like, oh man, I have to shirk here. Oh man, I'm in tank stance. Oh, it was like a freaking, it's like, oh, I could tank a trial or whatever without tank stance. Oof. I'm like, no, I like the safety, but no, I'm a bad tank all of a sudden. I don't like, or enmity. Like, I don't like having, I like not having to think about that anymore.
I will say,
about other things.
What
now.
a casual tank, by the way. Casual tank Avalon here.
Yeah, proud of it. Proud of it.
Me too. Don't worry.
I liked tanking in tank stance because I liked being a tank.
Okay, yeah, no, that's good. The biggest issue I have.
Amongst equals.
The what?
I'm amongst equals now.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
good. I feel good.
Yeah.
This
casual show.
Casual show now. Yeah, I've brought the skill level of this cast down.
Casual balance change discussion. So the other part to all this, to talk about tanks just a little bit more. The biggest issue I have with Paladin, I was just thinking about it, is forgetting to hit. Is it Confetter? How do you say that? Confiteor. I forget to hit Confiteor, and I'll hit Holy Spirit. I'm like, I just want to white now, right? Because it's you just spam one button, and you just have to remember at the last one needs to be that one.
I don't know, man. That's Dreadworm Tranche. That's for years.
Really?
You just finish it with a death flare. How hard is that? Just finish it.
It goes from like brainless to cap off with one thing. You have to make one change at a rate.
Finish it with the one attack, Frosty. It's not that
just
hard.
Dedicate one brain cell to hitting Confiteor, and then.
Yeah.
Hey, now we know who's the biggest casual out of the four of us.
Dude, I haven't cleared E2S yet, so I am it. But I want to go back because now I remember what I was going to say when you're talking about the tank stance. There is still challenge in that with the other tank not putting on his tank stance when he provokes. And so I have to take my tank stance off to adjust for what they're doing so I don't pull it back.
Shirk them all the time.
I mean, I could shirk them, but I get it back so quickly because...
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm good and I do DPS that's better than their DPS and I get more enmity. I don't know.
That's true, actually. Like for that kind of thing, like if the tank skill is so different that the one of them is going to be just generating more enmity, even without tank stance on.
Yeah.
You do so much more damage.
Yeah. All right. So done with tanks here. That was just a small bit. There wasn't much in there to discuss with it. The other PvE questions in general we want to hit on. One that I think is actually pretty important is how they're doing Savage loot and how they don't plan to change it yet. How do you guys have feelings on that?
You have a different opinion on this because you pug, right?
Yeah, I absolutely pug. So this is very vital to me. Because I go into, it doesn't matter if I go in there and they haven't gotten their loot yet, they're gonna roll need. They don't give a fuck.
I mean, like, they will roll it anyways, won't they? Like if I was pugging and my main job had everything from like say E1S, and I go in there in a week, I would still click need. Like the game doesn't check because it's a coffer. It's not tied to your class. So I would just click need for whatever off class I might play once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
Like that would just be me, but
yeah,
I'm pretty sure most other players are the same.
Yeah. In pugs, it's definitely a little difficult because you think of like, let's say this is the 10th week of clears, right? In the first turn. Normally, like let's say you're a tank main. Normally you're oh no, I'm sorry, never mind. That was accessories. Let's say you're a melee, and now that was fixed. But before, let's say you're a melee and you had all of your accessories already. If you clear for the week and a melee thing drops, you can't roll on it because you already have it. So somebody else can maybe get it. Now, if you already have everything for your main and the ring drops, but you already have a ring, you can still roll need. And so it just makes it so everything is always going to be an eighth of a chance.
Yep.
I mean, technically that means something always drops for you, so you're only an eighth of a chance to get it, but it stays eighth of a chance the whole time instead of later being easier because people get gear on their mains.
Right.
That's
So
interesting.
there's that.
I mean, like what I think is good about it is that when you go for like that PF clear, people will be on their mains. They won't go like on the all class to get the gear for it. They will just like go in with their main to gear the all class. However, like it could also mean if you're really unlucky, you don't get that item in like 20 pulls if you're super unlucky, which also sucks. I mean, yeah, you get books, you could argue with that, but I think it has like good and bad sides. I think for statics, it's definitely better because you can like...
If you're a DPS...
No, I was
in general, I think in general it's better because you like there will not be anything that's wasted.
8 weeks, everybody gets one.
Yeah.
You're done in 8 weeks. But the problem with that too is like some groups are gonna be like give all the loot to the DPS first. And that feels kind of bad because it's gonna take a month of every drop for all the DPS to get geared. And that means the tanks and the healers get nothing until the DPS.
But why are people even running it that way though?
We're not. My group is.
Okay, that just seems like an organizational problem.
No, that's a common
problem. Okay, I'm the casual, so I don't really know how this stuff works. But
in a hardcore raid, that pretty much that's what you would do. And just if you're caring about your damage, that's what the group would do, which matters a lot because that'll help you not hit in rages and stuff like that. So it
skip
does
mechanics.
Matter. Yeah. So it matters to give the DPS that. And that kind of sucks for the tanks and healers. So what my group ended up doing was we just set up what everybody's best in slot was. And if it's your best in slot piece, you can roll on it. Tanks, healers, DPS can all roll. So that's what we did until everybody gets one, and then we reset.
I will say as a raid leader, which I led raids for 2 years before I stopped being in a static, 2-3 years, something like that. I actually eventually just made a spreadsheet, and I was like, this person got this gear. All right, then next week we'll try to make sure that the other person in the same role can get gear next week. And try to just balance it out because I wanted everyone in my static to be happy. I wanted them to feel like they were getting something, and this will help that. But as a party finder person right now, it's going to be horrible. I already have to deal with people calling me an idiot constantly, even if I don't do anything wrong.
Isn't it still better chance though, because it's an eighth of a chance that you get it versus, I mean, how many pieces were there before for it to even drop, and then you have to roll? No,
I agree. This is the better. To be honest with you, when I drill it down, I think this is the better system. I just know there's a lot of people who are going to have complaints about it because you're also, before you were dealing with the RG if item would even drop for you,
right? And then you have to win it.
Yeah, so it's fine. So we're all kind of like, okay, yeah, sure, leave it the way it is. It's
for statics by far it's better. For pugs, it's more gray. I think overall I like it better.
Would it have been better if they just, had the old system with 8 pieces dropping? Like, I'm just, what's like, what's the old system?
8 pieces?
Right, because it's 8, well, not 8, like, right? Oh no,
8?
That's normal raids right now. Yeah.
I'm sorry, don't listen to me.
Don't do that.
No, it's okay. You can come back. It's fine. But what? No, Avalon was talking about.
It's still, yeah. I mean,
one thing that I'll kind of talk about too is when I do a normal raid, and they give 8 pieces now. When I was doing, you go in there, and I will pass on every single item I don't want, and not roll on the ones that I do want, and AFK for like a minute or two, and hope people get the hope people are just ready.
Wow.
And I know it's horrible.
Until people go out.
Yeah, I know it's horrible. But it happens every time. People just roll on everything and leave. And there are certain things that I want, and I don't want them to roll on what I want.
No, I'm happy if I have 7 casuals with me. I know they just roll on everything, literally. They don't know about builds or anything like that. So you're like, okay, I need 4 legs this week. Let's wait for all of them to go out. Sometimes you're left with like 1 or 2 people, but that's a lot higher chance to get it.
And
You're
that's
staring at each other.
And I'm not waiting until the timer runs out, guys. I'm waiting until the people. No, I'm not. I'm saying I'm not waiting until the timer runs out. I'm waiting until the people who are also doing the same thing stay, and everyone else who's not doing it and just rolling on everything, they leave because they don't care. They're just rolling on everything. They get what they want and they leave. Once those people are out, then I roll.
I'm the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm not like trying to really force them to get out. If they really want legs, they're gonna not roll on it too, or they're gonna like wait for that roll to happen. And I'm fine rolling against those people. I just don't want the random person who's like, I don't even know what gear is, and they roll and get it, and then they leave.
That's me.
That's fine.
I get it.
I would
I'm
think
like, I
that'd
don't
be
even
me
need
at
this. I have 5 leg pieces now.
Oh my god.
Yeah. That nice.
Please tell me you're joking.
And I don't have 5 leg pieces right now.
Good.
Maybe I have 3 head pieces though.
I will say I did get crafted chest because I didn't want to build up 4 more for chest. So I did stop going in after a while. Parties got better, but my first time clear disbanded. So before I could get it, like I had to go through a disband before I could actually get the and that's set normal time.
Feels bad.
Do you think they're gonna keep that loot system for Savage?
Yeah.
The one that we have right now?
I think that's what they specifically said, right?
They said that they were going to keep going with it, but keep giving your opinions, and we'll see how it goes, of course. But absolutely, they're going to keep this for now. And I think we'll realize it's the better system. It's not as exciting or interesting because it's a lot more exciting to see the item, and you're like, oh, there's the item I've been looking for, right? But
chest piece dropped. I got it. And then the guy who did, if you're like 2 casters and the caster that did like 5,000 damage less than you gets it, and you're like,
sounds like Dog Farm. Always the worst person.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes I die on purpose to like hopefully increase my chances.
You wait until the timer runs out on the dog too, and you just. That's what I would do.
Frosty's like, I do that.
Yeah, why not?
You're on Ether, right?
I am.
Good.
Oh,
Everyone blocking him now.
Oh no.
Frosty's on my server. Sometimes I'll just be like walking around and I just see like the Moogle Rothgar just standing there like.
Yeah. Yeah, I see him every once in a while.
He's like.
I love the Hofgar, man. It's the best.
Yeah.
I put the head on after the cutscenes. I wanted to see like my face in the cutscenes. It's definitely the best race they've made so far.
You know what's bullshit?
What?
There was this contest, right? Or like a screenshot contest for Viera and Rodgar. And you could win like the galley cap, like the little cat that you can wear as a hat.
Wear it.
You can't wear it as a bunny. I had to like Fantasia back to my cat to be able to wear it. I was so sad.
That's kind of fucked up.
Like they made the ears disappear on the cat. Why can't they make them disappear on the bunny? It's
because that's their main feature. If you don't have what, it's just another normalized.
Cat girl doesn't have the ears as a main feature. Fucking cat girl.
Nah, you got teeth too. It's alright. You got a tail.
Is the feature, right?
Yeah.
Am I missing?
Yeah, no,
tail.
They have a tail that stands out pretty well. I don't think Vera does, right?
No one cares about the tail, please.
They go nya.
I mean, there are people who
They go nya.
Can you do that a bit more cat-like, please?
No, that's okay.
Okay, the last, I mean, there's more stuff in there, but the one other thing that I want to talk about, and I think we were kind of expecting it, is that one of our next extremes, of course, is going to be Hades, which is going to be pretty exciting.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Wow.
I feel like this was like a way. That's one of those like it wasn't like a facepalm question, but I'm like, why'd you take this question?
Yeah.
I mean, it's an easy one to answer.
Because I think he wanted to reveal that.
Like that every time. Like, come on.
They wanted to reveal the information, right? They wanted to say, oh, how do we reveal this in a Q&A? Maybe they wouldn't even asked it. Maybe it was like, let's just throw this in there. I doubt it. They took it from a forum so everyone could publicly see it. But, you know, this is a good point to start releasing information that they want to in a live letter. And one of them was like, get hyped for Hades, right? Because that's what we want to see.
I mean, there are new people who don't know that they do that. So
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would also expect those new people to still be in like, you know, ARR patches.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to them.
They're gonna fix
jump
that.
potion. Jump potion. It's
like,
fine.
no.
Fine.
That's true.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited for that one. I mean,
I am too. I'm excited for that fight.
those are usually my favorite too, like Thornton and Shinryu. Those are usually one of my favorites of the expansion they end up being. So
Yeah.
I have high hopes.
I do too, man. Like, and that was the ending. And spoiler for people, mute for like a minute here at least, maybe longer. I don't know. But when you're doing that, everyone else is like, that's the moment of the game. At the very end of it, you get that cutscene, and everyone's just in awe. It would be amazing. It was really. You know, and it was kind of the same thing for Stormblood too, but the guy like cuts his throat at the end, so I don't. It was kind of a little bit intense in its own way.
Well, apparently that doesn't actually kill you.
Yeah, no, not if you're like some super crazy echo god that Xenos is. I mean, whatever's going on with that dude. But it was pretty intense. I kind of want to go back just to that scene. Do you guys remember that where he just sat there and cut his throat?
Yep.
On
Yes.
the game.
Loved it.
Samurai.
Yeah.
How intense is that to put it in the game? I wasn't expecting it.
I loved it. I loved the whole theme of like Shadowbringers is darker. Like I remember I did the Elysee questline first, and someone just died who I thought is gonna be a great character, and I was not prepared for that.
It was perfect.
What is
Shadowbringers?
Yeah.
Welcome everybody.
Welcome everybody. You know.
And they kept that creepy feel through a decent amount of the zones and everything. And I really like how they did that. I feel like that's just my preference in storytelling. But all right. So anything else PvE wise you guys want to hit on? Because I'm going to talk about PvP here in a second, and I'm sure you guys are going to be really excited. Get the dancer buffs.
They need to change improvisation. It's the way it works right now. It's your level 80 skill. It should be useful. The way it works right now, you only use it if there's like downtime.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't use it for anything else. Like at least either make it so you can like move during it at least, because you also can't move. Or make the range a bit bigger because people are too retarded to walk into it.
If somebody walks out, you get like 9 as spree, and you're like, what do I do?
I had to like talk shit a bit in my static for them to finally all be in there.
Please stand in improv.
I think what I could also do, which would be nice to also like, because you have the healing thing as well, right? It gives you a healing buff. But most times during downtime, like take Leviathan and Savage, you don't need healing there unless someone is being a dum-dum. Make it so you activate it and the healing buff stays for 5 seconds or something. So you at least have a use for it during the fight as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when there's like a healing intense part coming up. I just think that skill needs to change somehow to make it more useful.
Nah. Dancers are good.
I thought
Same as Rampart.
To the role playing crew. That's all I see people using it as, outside content. It's just like, hey, I'm just gonna dance here for a couple of seconds.
I mean, you have your normal dances for that.
No, but you're just twirling around for about 20 seconds, and it's pretty. I thought that's all it was.
Just like the machinists doing their flamethrower on everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I just feel like flamethrowing right now. Yeah.
Gotcha.
RP thing.
Hey, well, wait a minute, what data center are you on again? We're gonna talk about that.
Primal.
Oh, okay. All right. True.
Are you? Did you? Okay. I thought he was gonna say Crystal.
Crystal.
No, dude, don't you dare! Don't.
Oh, come on, let's not get into that conversation. It'll be a long day for that one. But all right.
Crystal. I'm gonna.
I do too.
I know what you were insinuating. I love Bamfrit.
Yeah. No,
I love all
friendly people.
It's just fun. I think
What's
it's
so bad about Crystal?
Nothing. They're great.
Nothing at all.
Nothing is wrong with Crystal.
It's not my home server. It's not my home data center though. So
it's people making jokes about data centers and then taking it seriously, and then people start believing the jokes, and then it causes
Crystal is like our light.
Maybe.
Maybe.
It's.
Maybe if you're comparing it like that, yeah. But
Okay.
Yeah, I guess.
Got it.
Like if you talk about Moogle, right, and then people make the
Oh
jokes
God.
about. See, like exactly.
Luke's worse.
All right, we're not doing server stuff right now.
Let's not.
Let's do about PvP stuff. A lot more calmer stuff here. Which of course, you guys know. I love PvP. It's a lot of fun.
Really?
I enjoy working. Yes, come on. Yeah.
I didn't know. I just thought they just plucked a pretty face from Twitch to
okay.
do the
All right.
all
Come
of the
on,
fan
keep
fest
going,
thing.
keep
Yeah.
talking. Yeah.
Yeah.
He likes PvP.
I think yeah.
No. I love PvP. I think that they're making changes to it, and they're kind of drastic right now. So I'm excited to see what they do with 5.1. One of the biggest complaints that people have had is that there's 9-button meme, right? They're always talking about how few actions you have to work with to build that skill level up. But now they're going to be adding up to 16 buttons or something in that nature that you can work with. Which is a pretty decent jump. I think most people are like, if you at least add a couple, we'll be okay. But this is going to maybe start adding a lot more skill level gap. Did you guys read the PvP question at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did. Yeah.
Did you read it and say, that sounds interesting? I probably would maybe investigate PvP when it comes out in 5.1.
Oh.
Not necessarily the button thing, but I like the fact that they're trying to vary the skills, having giving a heal all or the group protect or something like that. It's I think it would make it more fun to watch and learn a little bit. Yeah,
I'm excited for Seas too, but is that casual PvP talk?
Well, it's Steel Rock 2.
Steel Rock 2?
It's Steel Rock, yeah.
Steel Rock. Yeah, I'm sorry, not Seas. Steel Rock 2.
No, that's actually the majority of the population who do PvP will be interested in Steel Rock 2.
That's what I'm interested in.
But I mean, that's still gonna have the more skills, right?
Yep. So you're gonna have more skills.
I think, I don't know. I think 16 might be a bit too much. The jump might be too much because suddenly you're gonna have it bloated. But
there's no way 16 is gonna bloat.
I mean, compared to what it is now, and people are already not touching PvP.
Well, that's their fault, right? That's all on them, man. They just.
But now, when you add 16 skills, but they still don't make PvP in any way more accessible. I think the only people who will care about it are the people who already care about PvP.
So I agree with that part, that it is mainly aiming at the people who are really dedicated to PvP right now. But what I think 5.1 is trying to achieve is people who aren't really into PvP, like Seal Rock. They just like it because it's a fun mode to go in and mess around. You don't have to be too serious. You don't have to be good at the game. You could just do objectives.
I love it.
But people who actually like going around and killing people will develop that interest, maybe through Silver Rock, and maybe it will make people a little bit more interested to go into real serious PvP, which is Feast. And so people will maybe get kind of caught up in the web of Feast competitive nature, I suppose, doing that and try to queue up, and maybe they'll be willing to wait 15-20 minutes to get a queue to pop for Feast.
Dude, all they gotta do for Feast, without even changing anything about Feast, is just give rewards like glamour, and not to the only 100 people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Put glamour in there.
Well, it does kind of exist
a
little bit
more, and anybody can get it just from getting points. Think
the seals, right? The wolf
Overwatch anymore, but Overwatch, you just play games and you get points, and then you can use those points on glamour.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, they have that, don't they? With the wolf marks.
The wolf marks, yeah.
But it's very old gear. They don't add anything new, and you have it it doesn't get updated. It's added once, and that's it.
So rewards. People will do it.
There was the tank gear set I really liked from right after FanFest. In Stormblood, and it was only the top 10 people got it. I'm I just happened to get into gold. Maybe I just touched the bottom of the barrel of gold. And nope, I'm not getting it. But there's no. I stopped. I could have stepped.
There's no
going
incentive.
if just playing got me something.
Right, new rewards that playing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They don't incentivize it.
Yeah, and it's top 100 really with a lot of those. Top 10 usually get titles and stuff like that.
Yeah,
top
and then
100, but across the data center, right?
Yeah. Although we have more data centers now, so there's more overall rewards. But that being said, too,
I think the incentive is kind of lacking. Like for me, I at some point started to get a little bit into PvP, but it was not because of like seal or something, seal work. Like I don't know, like for me, PvP in Final Fantasy is like Feast is very different from the other ones. They have a completely different feel. So personally, I doubt that people will play Steelwork 2 and be like, oh, I'm gonna try this 4 versus 4 mode with a 20-minute queue where people are usually completely shit. And, because like training matches, they suck.
Yeah.
And most people will be like overwhelmed or whatever going into ranked because they're like, oh, but I don't know anything. But you're not learning in training. Like,
no, yeah, you aren't.
it's,
And you have people double queuing and just stomping other people and things like that.
They need to change something. I agree, like maybe give an incentive, add like glamour maybe not per season, but like I don't know.
Per season, screw it. It's not that hard.
But they always say it's like too much to design different armors, but maybe do something like bronze doesn't get anything, silver gets like an undieable version, gold gets a dieable one. Something like that, and then the people who are in platinum and higher, they can go for the top 100 thing.
I think honestly, they do one season with gear, one season with mounts, and they can do that. One thing that they could easily do with mounts is they could introduce a mount, then introduce a badass version with lots of armor version of that mount, and that would be the top 100 reward, while the other one would be, hey, you
basic version.
You played a lot,
like, hey, you got it. Yeah, here's your little, participation word. I mean, like I really liked the Garo event. The most PvP I ever played in both Feast and otherwise was the Garo event. That inspired because there was the glamour, there were the 3 mounts. Totally did it. I would have done the same thing for Rival Wings if it just didn't.
Wait for Feast. They just
by the time I was ready, it's like, is anybody playing? And they're like, go on to Discord, and they're like, I don't want to.
You don't want to interact with people. You just want to queue up and play.
I just want to go in, guys.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Come on.
The problem,
but I love the Garo stuff. That is the incentive I want back. And if they do that on a per season basis, if they do another collaboration with Garo or another whatever, they have so many. They're so popular now. We're getting a near raid. Come on, it's like you have so many things you can pair with to give us more glamour. Like
I think they just need to promote it better as well. Yeah. Like when do you ever see PvP promotion? If you're like very honest.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%.
Like you see promotion for like some small contest and whatever, but nothing for PvP. So like I would be surprised if there's a lot of people who like skip that like level 30 quest or whatever that introduces you to PvP.
Yeah, most people have to go back.
Exists.
Yeah,
like
it's okay. I can see where you guys are going, and I think there should be more rewards for just active players and not top 100 players.
Yeah,
and I think that'd be good.
I think it shouldn't even be level based of getting gold or silver or whatever. Just every game, if you win or lose, you get a certain amount of currency, and you can spend that currency on the gear. And at the end, if you got gold, then you get 1,000 currency. If you get silver, you get 500 currency extra. And then that currency can just be spent on the gear. And they
do that somewhat. Like there are ways to do it, but not with new gear, right? It's all old gear.
No, it's all old. You want to look like an animal? Cool.
Did they even add any? Did they add any in Shadow Wings so far? Right.
But that's
5-1.
That's just PvP gear that you could get. You could get that from Frontlines. I mean, exclusive to Feast, which is what they did. Like with Feast, with the top 100, that's in their heads. They're thinking that that's supposed to incentivize you, but it's only 100 people.
Period. It's not even top 100 of each role. It's top 100 period. So
it should just be a currency to get it, and you get it if
they
you
have
10.
They have a currency from the collars, like so. How you do?
It's only for weapons. That's only for
exactly.
It's also if you're not like a really good player, it takes quite a few seasons to get enough to even like buy a weapon. Like
if you're still motivated enough to even try for that.
Yeah,
and if
the system is bad. Let's just say it like it is. It's
system,
a bad system to get like new people to play because you're not getting anything.
Yeah.
Like I made it to silver. What did I get? Like 3 collars or something? I don't even know. Like.
And what are you gonna do with the collars? You'll go buy a pickaxe Paladin reward
Yeah.
as a pick.
I think I trashed them, to
something
be
like
honest, because I didn't feel
Actually,
like going back in.
happen.
Because
Yeah.
what
Just
for?
a feast exclusive currency that you can eventually just buy gear.
And so if you put a lot of time in the feast, then yeah. But I hope that's like part of the overhaul, like that they're talking about.
They have a lot of overall
Hopefully
stuff.
Not just like mechanics or whatever. It's like you just they need to recreate the entire like incentive for PvP.
Yeah. But I mean, and again, I really enjoy doing PvP, and I think people would enjoy it if they could get into it a little bit easier. And that's one of the things when I was discussing PvP overall is they responded to me, our main focus is to make it to where people can access Feast easier. Like it's not going to be something, and they've said some kind of wild ideas, like maybe not role restriction anymore. And doing it, they would have to find out some way to make that balance between all the roles. But it's going to be interesting to see what they decide to do. PvP is not going to be the same in 5.1. They already removed medals, which was a huge thing recently.
Yeah.
I'm going to see what their big jump's going to be, at least for Feast in 5.1. But I think with getting Seal Rock in there, they need to at least cover some ground with people who don't want to do Feast but do enjoy some competitive PvP, just not in a very competitive Feast mode.
I mean, I just hope, like, with the big changes, it's not like something that just gets lost in the patch notes, but that they will actually, like, talk about it in some way, promote it in some way, because that's the moment where you can, like, there's a lot of new players right now, be it because, like, new expansion, or they are fed up with WoW, or whatever. There's a shit ton of people playing, and I think if you want to get people into that mode, and you're, like, overhauling the whole system, now's the time where you need to like put it out there and get people interested in any way.
Completely
do some
agree.
events and I'll go over there and I'll shoutcast them. It's all good.
They've barely talked about PvP at all before this.
Yeah, at the media event they didn't tell me anything.
Nothing.
But in the last media event it was really huge, so I'm excited to see. This is like PvP is finally getting their excitement with 5.1, and
I have to say, I talked to someone in London at the media event, and he also told me like, oh yeah, PvP stuff is going to be in 5.1, but until this live letter, I completely forgot that it's going to get changed. Like, you know,
we'll see. We're a little bit away from we're about like a month and a half, 2 months from 5.1, right?
Yeah, about 2 months. Yeah.
And what were you saying, Larry?
The only thing is just get more people in, and the one thing that'll get more people in, regardless if it's fun or not, is rewards.
Yeah,
we've seen that with Eureka. It doesn't need to be good. Just put rewards and people
rewards them.
Yeah. So one other note, I did see a couple comments in chat about it too, is getting rid of the role restriction. One thing that I saw, and this is completely opinion based, it's not really anything, is that a lot of the roles right now have self-healing when they do attack. And so they have ways to keep themselves alive. And so if they start moving all the jobs to have some sort of way of keeping themselves alive, they could start removing that role restriction and make it to where everybody's based on doing damage and managing their own way to stay alive as well. So you're doing this whole balance of how do I not die, and if people are all attacking me at the same time, how do I make that inefficient for them so my team can kill them? Things like that could make it possible, but we won't know until we see it's actually done. All right. I feel good. I haven't talked about PvP in a while.
They should do weekly challenges, like do a match with 4 DPS, do, you know, like weekly challenges, and then you get like something as a reward as well.
Okay, it's all people. That'd be so horrible. Like everybody's going in all DPS, no healing's done at all. They're just like as hard as they can, at least currently, and just kill each other.
Why not? Team deathmatch.
Yeah.
I'm more surprised that the new Frontlines isn't just a Fortnite, a battle royale.
All right, we can go on to the next conversation here.
Why is it?
No, it's all right.
Why isn't it a battle royale?
Why is it? Because it's horrible.
Everyone would kill the Lalas.
That's Fortnite.
Fortnite did so well. All we got to do is implement the same elements Fortnite has, and then succeed in our
I
PvP
would
system.
actually be kind of interested in that.
I'd play a battle royale PvP.
I would, yeah, if I could bring my.
If everybody was playing Machinist, that's it. Sure. Yeah, that'd be great. But
plunge somebody out of nowhere, it's fine.
Yeah,
cool.
Pulling people off the side of the tracks to get them killed. Yeah, no, that's great. All right, so that was most of the stuff that I noticed, at least with PvP and PvE, and a little bit of story. Was there anything really interesting that stood out besides some of the stuff that we talked about throughout the live letter? The what?
The near raid.
The near raid? What did I say about the near raid?
They said that we're gonna be able to wear 2B's dress on my male character.
I can't wait for that video,
Okay.
Larry.
Yeah.
Can you do it with the whole flat thing too, where you're like double width and flat?
Oh,
like
that?
toggling? Yeah.
Get like really big.
I felt like I was high.
Yeah.
No.
And then, the thing that I was really hoping for was the weapons, and
Yeah.
he pretty much confirmed that there aren't weapons, but if people ask, that maybe they would. It's just
Yeah,
the
that was
weapons here
question
are so
70.
important.
Because
So-
it's work to do it.
Yeah.
So they have to. I mean, and that was in regards to relics, right?
No.
No, they
2B's
specifically
weapon,
asked
no?
about the Alliance raid itself.
Oh,
It's like I checked the models today, provided some feedback, but they're really well made. We made a decision to design the costumes wearable by both genders, so please look forward to it.
Yeah.
And a katana weapon was the specific one because people obviously want the katana, but it will be limited to certain jobs only. But they may consider giving everybody a katana if it's highly requested. And then
a
again,
version
no,
of the katana, or
I
like
don't know. It's like we might.
No, they said there
Mhm.
is no katana yet.
Oh,
No, they're saying a katana weapon would be limited to certain jobs, so we haven't planned for them at the moment.
Hmm.
There is no
okay.
weapon.
Okay.
But if people want it, then we'll do it limited to certain jobs.
I mean, I guess that's kind of fair. I mean, there are certain weapons in the game that only work for certain jobs.
Yeah, like you can't. If you're a summoner, you can't use a katana. Like
yeah, and a
think
gunbreaker
it's
gets Squall's
fair.
weapon, you know. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's okay. Why not? It's near. Not every job has to be rewarded. Every once in a while, they get a bone.
Well,
So.
I would want that. Like the weapons from Nier are just like so big in the story that I would have loved that if we could have gotten a weapon for each job, because there is like Scholar and Summoner could have had the grimoires, and you know there's a whole bunch of swords and pretty much every weapon type that we have.
Oh, okay. Well,
So
Mm.
it would have been like perfect for it, but there are no weapons from Alliance raids, so.
they would have to implement that on top of our armor as well. So
You're right. Yeah,
it would be extra work, and they're already making weapons for Bahamut, or not Bahamut, Ultimate.
But what are they gonna be? What are they gonna be based on?
Alexander. It's gonna be Alexander
But
Ultimate.
you
Come on.
don't
here's this
have that.
conversation again.
There's two class like Gunbreaker and Dancer don't have weapons in there.
They'll make
Maybe
new ones.
Red
It's
Mage.
okay.
Yeah, like they made primal weapons.
Well, yeah, like with Ukab, like Red Mage Samurai didn't have turn 13 weapons, and then they made them just because of Ukab.
But they were added in before, weren't they? Or were they only added with the UK?
They were at it with the expansion.
It was
Yeah, and like Dancer and Gunbreaker, they didn't get anything. We got like the Palace of the Dead and Heaven on high weapons, and I think that's it. Everything else is just like primal, like the new primals, obviously, and leveling stuff.
We'll see. I mean, they could go
I
back.
pray.
Yeah. It's just
But
right
they-
now it's not there.
Yeah, they confirmed
Hmm.
for UCOP and Yuvu, you're not gonna get them.
yeah, I
Which
was
is
sad
lame.
about that.
They could
Yeah.
always
That was
backpedal. Don't
They could
they could
depending on
always
their
backpedal.
load. Yeah.
Yeah, but that felt bad. Like,
Like when we get Mel Vieira, it's because they backpedaled because the community had a riot and they went in protest with signs in front of Square. No, they didn't, but felt like it.
Adding weapons like that just adds a lot of replay value to stuff. So it's like, yeah, you spend the development time to like make these two weapons, like an Ukab and Uwu weapon for Dancer and Gunbreaker, but you're adding a lot of value because now people are going to go back and go do it.
Well, for a couple of clears.
Yeah,
Get it? Yeah.
but
but-
people still do like you're giving people a reason to do it.
Right.
Like right now, there's no other reason besides if you haven't done it yet. So
Okay, guys. Well, I think it's time that we get into the viewer side of things and we start asking questions to chat in this last portion of the show, as well as do the giveaway finally that maybe some of you guys were looking forward to. I don't know. I think this is cool. Give you another little quick view of it. Today's giveaway is going to be these little beanbags of a movie.
so cute.
Yeah.
Wow.
And again, people on the
Thank you.
show can enter. So if you guys want to enter, except for you can't do it for EU. Sorry, no EU.
Oh, I couldn't enter.
You can, but you can't get it shipped to you.
I'm gonna
Bad.
win.
But I do have a brief little moment sellout ad I have for you that I want you all to watch for just a second.
I love this.
No, you shouldn't love this. It's different than the one you saw before, maybe. I don't know.
New?
It's not. It's like 2 episodes new. It's not like really new, but
I've
it's
seen it then.
Oh,
I
okay.
love it. Good job.
Thank you. All right, guys, hang out. I'm gonna sit here and ask people to sub to me, and then we'll be back here in a second.
I'm gonna watch.
Okay. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh boy. Go back to the. We're canceling the ad. I'm gonna make you guys all look at this again. So because I didn't mute my mic, but I might have muted the video. So I'm gonna make you all sit through it again. I'm gonna sell you out again. Give me 1 second.
I was like, why do I hear us?
All right, guys, we're back. All right, we did it, guys. We did it.
That
Yay.
was epic.
Thank you.
Go sub to him.
Yeah, go. Yeah, everybody, give me your money. No, I'm just kidding, guys.
Epic.
Not really. So let me get these questions going, and then we'll start on the giveaway. I need to figure out how to delete these on the old ones on Moobot, so I can start a new one. Muted version better. Oh.
Aww.
So the first question, one of the questions, if you guys have them, please submit them in the chat, by the way. I did put the questions link in there. But one of the questions that we had, bring this down.
Oh, no.
This is kind of just a general question. It's not about any chat or any live letter things or anything. I'm the only crafter in my static, and I'm getting pretty bitter about making them all. Their potions and food. They don't seem to appreciate the amount of work that goes into overmelting a crafting set. Do you guys craft? Do you have any advice?
Stop.
I have my friend Yomo.
Remove the
build all of
supply.
my-
Make them pay for like leaf quest kits, so then they can craft themselves, and you make money.
Yeah.
Ask for union benefits.
Union benefits.
Union
I don't have
benefits.
crafters
Health
levels at all.
insurance.
I don't either. I don't see. The thing is, I don't ask crafters to make me things. I buy it off the market board.
But I needed to get pentamelted, so I'll go to my friend Yomu from our static, and he'll pentameld with me and sit there for an hour while they all fail. So I'm part of the problem too.
Streamer privilege. Come on, dude. I don't know. I've never relied on crafters too much. I always felt bad. People in like FCs would say, "Hey, you need gear? Okay, I'll make it."
Not pentameld?
No, never. I never pentameld.
You don't. Then you-
Fucking
then you have no
casual.
reason. The only time I need Yomu is to pentameld.
Yeah.
So
I can't. I don't want to go into that price range, and I can clear
some
content
people-
without it.
Some people care about doing the most damage they can, Frosty, and you just
maybe
It's a
if you
decent estimate
pentamelted,
cost,
you
I guess.
wouldn't need that 22-second
yeah,
ramp.
yeah, maybe.
Oh, what?
Maybe you don't need the buff to rampart if you pentamelded.
Come on, man.
Complaining about 2 seconds
I
on
don't
Rampart.
I don't play Savage and I feel attacked.
You don't pentameld, Brian? What the?
What would I? What?
How do you not?
You gotta get. Look, there's a normal mode. FF Logs normal mode.
Jesus,
you got a pentameld for
I got a
that.
pentameld for the dungeon. Yeah, for my map dungeons.
Yeah, your
Yes.
epic.
Yeah.
Game powers.
Like,
Sure. If you did you know if you have 5 melds into your gear, there's a higher chance that you're going to get the rainbow
Yeah.
in the treasure dungeon? Yeah.
I'm learning a lot today.
Just so you know, benefits. All right, so let's go ahead and start this giveaway real quick. And I have to reiterate a couple things here. This was provided by Square Enix, so just get that out of the way. This will be only shipped to U.S. residents at the moment, just because I do not have the money, and I am sorry to ship it to Europe and Canada and everywhere else. So if you live in the U.S., go ahead and I think the phrase is going to be Beanie Babies. Beanie Baby.
Beanie Babies.
Beanie Babies. If you guys say Beanie Babies and
How
you
do
type
you
that in chat,
spell that?
it's in chat. It's in chat. It tells you how.
Where?
I just did it like a second ago. You gotta
I
do it
don't see it.
lowercase.
something in
Maybe.
chat.
It says Moobot
yeah.
enter giveaway by typing Beanie Babies in chat.
Do I do X?
How did you come up with that?
Babies?
Because it's Beanie Bags and then there's Beanie Babies.
I got a message from
I'm
Moobot.
just being very nostalgic.
Yeah, yeah. Remember that where everybody like had Beanie Babies and the craze?
Moobot sent me a message saying I won.
No.
Oh man,
no.
whisper system.
Yeah.
All right. Here is a. Well, no, that's PvP question. I'll come back to it. All right.
Hello,
based-
Novi.
Here's a question. We're gonna ask one while we're doing the giveaway here. Based on everything talked about, what kind of changes do you see from Ninja Sam and Summoner actually coming up in 5.1? So something maybe we haven't mentioned that you anticipate that we're gonna see for these 3 jobs. Anything you guys can think of?
God, I don't play any of them, so
Summoner, they're gonna make maybe the Tri Disaster maybe last 35 seconds. They will. What would they do to Eggy Assault? That's like a band-aid fix. Just give it more damage, I guess. That's it. They're not gonna do much to Summoner that will like hugely fix it. Oh, they'll change the Ruin potency. Maybe they'll give Ruin base potency without the dots on it a higher potency. I think that's really it. I don't expect like drastic overhauls that'll actually fix it. Samurai, I think they're gonna give. They were saying some other way to get meditate stacks so you can use Shoha. I think we'll get that, and then just like a little potency increases, and I think Samurai will be in a good shape then because it just needs some extra potency and it'll be good. Ninja, I hope that they do the where you can do mudras in between GCDs is the one I hope that they do.
Okay.
Instead of needing to cram all 4 hits into in between GCDs.
Okay. And just so you guys know, you have a pretty good chance of winning these Beanie Babies. You only got like 60 people entering in, so I'm going to give it one more time here. And again, U.S. residents only. We may just have a lot of European viewers, and I apologize for everyone.
I'm gonna win.
You might. All right, one more question here. This question is, I assume you guys saw the new Peacock mount and the glamour. Well, what do you guys
No,
think
what?
about that? You guys haven't seen it?
Oh, the China, the
Yeah,
Chinese
from the fan
China
festival.
Fest. Yeah, Chinese
What?
Fan Fest, yeah. Yeah, that was pretty baller. I
I
actually
want to see this.
uh
Where
If you
do I
guys could
go?
find a link, I can't. I don't know where it was. I think it might have
Can I
been
see it on Reddit?
maybe.
I saw it on Twitter somewhere,
I saw it on
but
Twitter as well.
it was like a random account that just retweeted. So
Oh, I see it. New mount.
Mhm.
Oh, what the heck? But there's
Yeah.
gear too?
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
Sorry for whoever just got muted there. I don't know who it was. I didn't even see it. Wait a minute.
Oh my god, the gear looks like Lubu.
Lubu, yeah.
No, it's Lubu. Oh my god, the hat. That's kind of cool.
It's gonna be pretty
like
awesome. I don't know. Is it only for China at the moment, or is it gonna
At
be?
least for the next year, I guess.
And then Mog Station later, probably.
Station.
It's
but the
usually-
mount is really nice.
Mm. Yeah,
It's
it's pretty crazy.
Lubu.
Yeah, so we can all play Dynasty Warriors again, right?
Yeah. Lubu was scary, man. When I played Dynasty Warriors first time, my friend was like, "Don't go to Lubu, he'll kill you." And I was like, "What? He can't be that bad." I go to attack him and he kills me one shot. I'm like, "Lubu's scary."
Yeah. All right, this is actually a question for Larry. Why does Larry have a HD 600, 650, 6XX while all the other players have no noticeably amazing headgear?
Oh, my headphones? Oh, it's actually not. It's not that. It's a 58X. So it's like, wait, no, it's a
I
yeah,
have to get my other.
8X. It's like a knockoff cheap. Well, not a knockoff, but it's like a cheap version of the 600s. If you know those, because you said it.
Yeah.
But it's like $150 instead of $600.
I love my headset, by the way. I think it's great.
Yeah,
I
it's like
can't,
the
I
same
can't
price
wear
range
those.
as
My
the-
ears stick out too much.
Oh yeah, big floppy ears. I got you.
Yeah.
These were from Mass Drop, so it's like Mass Drop
Good old Master Up.
Sennheiser, so
Mm.
it's like cheaper.
Those are good. Those are good.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do the roll for who won this. Let's see. Is again pretty good chance that somebody's gonna win here. This is Takatron. So right there, Takatron. If you're in chat, go ahead and say you're in chat and you exist.
Well, you spelled my name wrong.
Okay, there. So Takatron, what I'm gonna need you to do is at least stay through the rest of the show, and message me on Twitch. You should give it away, everybody, to give people subs.
Your wife is gifting subs.
Congrats.
Oh my goodness. All right. So stay around for the show, and make sure that you get in touch with me in Twitch chat. Then I'll get your email and we'll work everything out from there. So hold tight, guys, or hold tight for that. We do have some more questions I want to ask of our guest here. This is kind of a interesting one, I think. Let me make sure. Do you think there will be additional world splits in the future, considering the current state of Aether population post Shadowbringers?
No.
That is a very, very big no there from.
No. No. Don't do that.
Yeah, no more splits. We're done with splits. I don't think we need to do it anymore.
Lock down Aether if you need to.
The servers.
Yeah, just don't let
lock
more
it
people
down.
play the game. I'd rather that right now. Just
Just log it down. No.
yeah.
People out.
And thank you for all the gifts in chat, by the way, guys. And that does all go to shipping costs. So,
Yeah.
so I think we're all in agreement. No more splits. The other one is, of course, a pretty straightforward question that we might all have the same answer to, but we're going to go ahead and ask it anyways. What is the next ultimate fight going to be?
Alexander.
Yeah?
Good Moggle Mock.
Oh God.
Warring Triad.
We're in Triad. Okay. Those are all extremely possible situations here. We're in Triad. I think a lot of people have been kind of hanging on to see if we would see it again. But Alexander would fit the format.
And you said we would all say the same thing.
I kind of thought. I mean,
We'll definitely get an Alexander at some point.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be the next one. Like it probably will be, but definitely we'll get one. Like,
But I would also like, if we do get 2 ultimates, my bet would also have been like Alexander and Warring Triad as the next one.
Mhm.
Like those 2 just seem to have the most potential right now.
yeah. War in Triad. The Dragon Song War, which would be Thoradin and so on. And then
Ooh.
Yes.
Dragon Song War.
Yeah.
Nidhogg.
Nidhogg.
Too many dragons.
No, not enough.
You could never have
Ah,
too many
I'm so
dragons.
tired. Now we even have like dragon mounts drop again. These are like the worst primal mounts.
I have to kind of
More
agree.
Horns.
Ah.
I'm not interested in the mounts that they currently have for the primals. To be honest.
They're fucking ugly.
Yeah, their
Sorry.
faces are really derpy.
Yeah.
Nidhogg, Hesselvelger, and Tiamat. Like, give us that fight.
Yeah.
Tiamat's not a fight.
But it's not a fight.
They could make a new
No,
one.
They could create Tiamat as like if
Free
a
Tiamat.
what if.
Mhm.
Free Tiamat 2019.
All right. They might come when we go to Mercidia in the next expansion.
Yeah.
I would love that. Can we? Yeah.
I want to go to Mirror City, yeah.
Yeah. I want to go to Allegan time.
Yeah, they're probably gonna maybe take us there too at some. I have to imagine it's an expansion. At least in the next two. At least in the next two, because there's a lot of stuff that needs to be answered throughout the Allegan story.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna answer the PvP question. Why does Square Enix hate Scholar in PvP?
Hate it in PvE too.
That could be it. I think it's because they're still struggling with how they want Scholar to exist in PvP. We'll see how it works. It was really ridiculous for a time, I know, and I think some people still do pretty well with it, where it's just super aggressive, and but it's so hard to play. It's like the highest skill ceiling you can have for a job, because you have to keep people alive while constantly doing damage. And the more damage you do, the easier it is to heal. So it's weird. Well, not really that way, but basically, just let you guys on the show know, the way people used to play Scholar, at least, is broil, lustrate, broil, lustrate, broil, lustrate, broil, lustrate, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's how I played it back then.
Yeah. All right, and I guess we can ask two more questions here, and then we'll kind of go into the wrap up of the show. This one is a pretty generic question for it, but maybe it's something you guys want to answer here. What was your favorite question they actually answered in the live letter?
Huh.
I like that we can get a farm for our minions.
Yeah, a farm for our minions.
No, that wasn't actually. That was just the one that was on my screen. But I thought that was a good question because I never thought of it myself.
I'm happy to get more damage.
I'm not coming back on the show, am I?
No, you can't. No, it's fine. Absolutely. Oh, all right. What were you saying, Larry?
The near answer is cool, and also just I welcome more samurai damage.
Okay.
I just do more damage now. That's cool.
Yeah, with frog head.
I'll take it. With a frog head. That's a plus 5% passive, by the way. So.
All right, Jess, was there a question that you had that you're like, this really stood out? I'm glad it got through.
I liked the question about like Dancer Gunbreaker weapons. I didn't like the answer. So
at least they're addressing it, right?
Yeah, I guess.
I gotta say, I think some of the more general things, like him talking about the dwarfs and everything else, I think just hearing those every once in a while makes me feel good, because I've talked to Yoshida a few times, a good handful of times, and I respect the guy, and every time I see him publicly answer these kind of questions, I respect him more. So I just like to see that stuff. And I'm going to ask this one. You know what? I'm going to ask a personal question here, one from my own, and then I'll ask this other one. How do you guys feel about the overwhelming amount of frog heads in the game?
I love it.
I'm a big fan of frog head. Big fan.
It's a little bit too much. Is it a little bit over the line of like, okay, creepy?
No, I normally I hate silly glams. Okay, I absolutely hate them. Like when I was still on Phoenix, there was a guy called Oh Baby, I think, who was always like wearing he was like a Worgadin in like the Moogle glam. I fucking hated it. But the frog head, dude, I would even wear that like with my static to make like a stupid static evening, and like
I'd wear it in real life.
It's great.
You know, I wonder if that's going to be cosplay coming up in the next events and FanFest. Is going to be frog
I'm waiting
heads.
for it
sure
at
people
Gamescom.
are already done with their cosplays for that.
If I don't see that at Gamescom, I'll be sad.
So it'll be there.
I'll give a shout out during the cosplay contest that I want to see it the next year if it's not there.
Okay.
I welcome more costumes like this in the game. More frog head type.
Absolutely.
I'd like some variety.
I wish they would put a frog race in the game, and then I'd be happier. But I'm okay with just the head, I suppose. I'm still going to use the Moogle head, though, because it's just kind of the thing that I do.
More
But
mask heads like that.
Moogle head with the frog body.
Give us a Python
I'm
mask.
not even seeing full-size Namazu now with the Namazu head and the frog body. No. Okay. No.
This is the last question. It's actually directed toward Jess, but I figured it's a good one maybe for you to answer. It said, question for Jess. I first applaud you for knowing multiple languages, which is good. Americans are very surprised about people knowing more than one language overall.
I'm native German, so
Yeah.
That's because we're stupid.
Yeah. Do you play your game in German or English? Does the
Oh,
localization ever change anything drastic or change anything maybe major?
I play in English. I played it in German very briefly for last year's Gamescom preparation because that was the first time I hosted Gamescom, and a certain employee at Square Enix thought it would be fun to troll me and be like, you need to know every skill in German. And I was like, oh fuck, I play since closed beta in English. So I started playing in German. It was the worst thing I ever did.
Okay.
And
What do
at
they
some
call
point,
What do they call Akmorn in German?
I don't know. It's the time of my life. I try to forget.
What about Blair?
Simon, it was not Clem. No, it wasn't Clem. But the skill names and everything, it's just I printed out everything to learn it, and then at some point I was told, oh yeah, you actually don't need to learn all that, so I just switched back to English. It gave me issues with my static because that was around the time of was it AlphaScape? No. Was it AlphaScape? No, that came after. But I remember there was a fight where I would look at the skill names to know where to position myself, and they were so completely different in German. I was like, okay, I don't know what is the skill doing. I have no idea. Can we please have call outs? I heard it's okay in German. I am sometimes watching friends of mine stream in German. I am not a huge fan of the voice acting in German of some characters.
I used to have a static member who played in German. He wasn't German, but everything was in German for him.
Dude, Alice sounds like a witch, okay? Like a old grumpy witch.
What?
Wow.
She has a really, really weird voice that's not fitting at all.
That's
especially when you it's probably normal to you if you started the game in German and never heard it in English. But if you know the English voice and then you hear the German voice, it is so weird. We did a comparison on FamouslyJess as well, because when she first came up, I wasn't sure okay, what gender does she have because of the English voice.
That's a way to put it, I guess.
And in German, she sounded very female. So they also, I don't know what the briefing for the voices is. I assume it's not the same briefing because the voices are so different at times. Just the feel you have. Okay. So yeah, I don't play in German.
Okay. I mean, that's something I actually heard from, especially, I guess, a lot of higher end raiders do this. I don't know if this is common between everyone, but a lot of raid groups only play in the English version because they have people who do come from different countries, and English is just the central point for them. So they don't have to refer to mechanics or something in a different language. They can all refer to it in the same.
Yeah, skill usage as well, because if you have one healer in English and one in German, for example, and they want to talk about it, and that's not good usually.
Gotcha.
That's true. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess we can start wrapping up here. It's been actually a really good show. I appreciate all you guys coming. It's felt like just a great conversation over the last 2 hours. Can you believe 2 hours have already passed by?
No, weird.
Yeah.
little goofy. So while ending the show, there is I do want you guys all to kind of go through, maybe say last second things that you want to get out, and then maybe shout outs to certain people and where people can find you. So if you don't mind, I'm going to actually start off with you, Larry, and just kind of anything last that you want to say, shout outs, and where people can find you.
Shadowbringers?
Anything, man.
Shadowbringers was the best expansion ever, and I'm looking forward to all the other patches, and I think they're going to do a good job. That's it. I'm Larry. I make dumb videos. You could find me as Larryzaur and everything. And at the moment, I'm still watching my tweet to make sure if I have to go Larryzaur for a month. It's
Please
getting
retweet.
up there. I'm kind of scared. I didn't think it would hit that.
Of course, you say you put a goal out there. There's enough people to make the goal.
We get a
Larry,
link
you should
back.
post it in your chat so people can like.
No.
Yeah. No, no, wait a minute. Somebody got banned for that recently. I'm not gonna post Twitter links, and I'm good. So Avalon, thank you again. And by the way, I do want to take a second, Avalon. It was awesome that you came on the show this time. You're great to talk to. I had a great time talking to you at the media event and everything.
Thank you.
And I do appreciate your work. If you guys don't know much about Avalon, he does work with a lot of UI elements. But that's kind of your thing. It's UI, right?
I was a web designer for about 12 years before starting as a Twitch broadcaster. So yeah, have a little experience in it.
I mean, that's
A little bit.
A
little bit, just a
little
tiny
bit.
bit.
It's funny because I'm doing some web development stuff right now, and I'm like, this is good. You're miles ahead of me. But go ahead and just tell everybody a little bit about yourself and kind of where they can find you and everything, Avalon, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I am a full-time Twitch broadcaster, mainly focusing on 14 and Destiny 2, MMOs in general, and I also like talking about UI and other things I get passionate about. I have a little video series on YouTube that I need to really get back to. That's about UI and UX and FF14, and I'm AvalonStar pretty much everywhere. So hope to see you somewhere else on this wonderful directory or wherever else I find you. Yeah, universe. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, and Jess, thank you again for coming on, and always good to have a different perspective when we have a lot of NA players that come on, so it's nice to have someone else out there to kind of give us some other opinions. So thank you again, and same thing for you if you don't mind.
Well, a shout out goes to my scholar Wafi because he asked for it. And yeah, thanks again for having me, as always. Super fun. You can find me on social media, on Twitch, wherever, under FamouslyJess. And please tune in to Gamescom casting. I'll be hosting and stuff. And the PvP show is going to be in English, so everyone here can understand it.
Cool.
Nice.
So you guys should definitely check that out. Anything with PvP is definitely one thing you should check out. But you guys support our guests on the show and go watch Gamescom.
When is that?
In 2 weeks. No, I mean, like the PvP thing, I can't tell you the exact date, but Gamescom starts on the 20th of August. So
It's
Okay.
cool.
Pretty soon. All right, and guys, I think that's it. We can go ahead and start wrapping up. Thank you to everybody who came to watch the show today. Thank you to Kiara, who's actually in chat and being my emotional support in the background. Andre Kane for the music that you guys hear in the intro and the closing. And Blazana for the layout that I've been using for quite a while here. And with that being said, remember, be good, keep cool, stay frosty. Bye, guys. Bye. See ya.
Frosty, yeah.
I do that for Larry. I do it for Larry.